What's up, motherfuckers? I'm the Master Miguel Ruiz Buendia, and in this middle game masterclass, I'm going to show us a very good victory of Gabriel Sargissian in the World Cup. So, okay, let's go with the game. Okay, I'm going to start in this position. Okay, this is a Carlsbad structure and a Carlsbad opening, and I'm going to start in this position because the move made by Sargissian in this moment takes my attention, and is very good and the way that he won. Okay, after Queen takes f3, here White should choose instead of take with the knight or take with the pawn. Knight f3 looks like the normal move without double pawns, but Sargisian takes on f3 with the pawn. So we're going to see what is the Sargisian idea. I want to tell us that knight f3 is a completely possible move. The machine doesn't criticize knight takes f3, but g takes f3 is a very interesting move. We're going to see why. Okay, first idea of g takes f3 is that he's covering the e4 square, which is really important in the Carlsbad structures. This principally the c4 and e4 square, but principally the e4 square is the black main goal to reach this square with the knight. And typical plan of black was just knight f6, rook e8, and it's not only to reach the knight with the square with the knight, but it's more about take control of the e4 square. It used to be so important. Take the control of the e4 square and not allow white to break on e4. So first with g takes f3, we are taking the full control of the move of the square e4, and later we can advance the pawn in each moment. So that's the first idea of the move g takes f3. And the second idea of the move g takes f3 is just open the g5. And okay, can look like without queen, it's going to be difficult to checkmate the black king in the g5. But the purpose is not checkmate the black king. It's going to be just put pressure in the g5. So okay, we're going to see how Gabriel is still playing. Knight f6, and now of course knight e2. Now the knight cannot go to f3, so now the knight is going to go or to f4 or to g3, mostly to f4. Okay, black is still developing normal the pieces. I prefer why black just play a5 directly, taking space in the queen side, and a5 is always a useful move in the Carlsbad structure for black. So I prefer a little bit more a5, if rook e1, if white plays like in the game, rook e8 here, h4 and a4 here. And now king f5, leaving the danger in the open g5. That's the best way to play for black. But okay, his opponent, he have 20, he's an international master. He played bishop d7, a normal move, and white still with his plan, h5, taking more space. In the endgames and in this type of endgames, the space used to be so important. It's so important to take space with the pawns. Rook a8, and now king d2, just improving the king and connecting the rooks. Now the rooks can pass via the third rank wherever they want. I thought that white is going to put pressure in the g5, but he prefers to first place the pawn on g4, on h4, who is completely sure that this pawn is going to go to h4, place the king in the square that he's completely sure that he's going to go, and later play rook g1, but without show his cards. But because, okay, the most probably that white is going to want the rook on g1, but maybe he later he changed his idea and he wants to go to c1 or something, depending of what black made. So when you are completely sure of what is going to be the square of a piece, like this pawn, for example, and this king, used to be better first place the pieces when you are completely sure that this is going to be there, especially in the slowly position like this in the endgames. You are sure that the pawn is going to be to h4, and you are sure that the king is going to go to d2. So first you place the pieces there, and later you decide where you are going to place the rook. Okay, probably you want the rook on you one, but depends of what black makes. You maybe want the rook in other square. For example, g6 was the best defense for black. And here, okay, white have some ideas. Or for example, a4 I don't like because a5. But before there is an option to taking space in the queen side too, or you are rook g1 placing well the rook. Okay, 98, and here he plays h5. It's a good move. H5 is completely fine, but I prefer a little bit knight f4, improving the knight, because if knight d6, like in the game, here I have this very interesting idea: e4, rook f8, e5 now, and if knight f5, just take, and now, for example, rook e1 followed by knight e2, knight h5 or rook c1, or knight e2 dld to play f4. but I really like this position. Or rook e1 here still was impossible, but I prefer a little bit more knight f4. But okay, h5 was fine. Like I told you, one of the white plan will be attacking the g5, but the other interesting plan will be break on e4. That's the one of the huge advantage of white position that we have many plans. One could be advance the queenside pawns. The other could be put pressure in the g5. The other could be breaking in e4. And black should pay attention into all the plans. And black have no clear plan, just try to defend against the white plans. So always it's easier to have a plan on many plans, like this position with white. It always is easier than just try to defend against your opponent's plans. So I really like the white position. And all came thanks to the move g takes f3. Because in this moment the machine say that the position is close to be equal, only says 0.20 with both moves. But after you play g takes f3, who the machine that doesn't be impressed so much by this move. See, the machine like but doesn't impress so much. But just 3 moves later, he say like white is better. So this is because the white position is easier to play than the black position. Okay, h5, 96 will move. That's the idea of 98, 96. And the knight in the Carlsbad destructor should be on the 6. That's the okay. Going to put in green. But that's the best square for the knight in the Carlsbad destructor. 98. All the masters know that. For that reason, he played 98, knight d6, and now knight d4. e4 was slightly better here. Because if, for example, if rook e8, you can just play e5 and f4 with a winning position. Black have no blanks in there. But okay, knight f4. The problem of knight f4 is that here black have the possibility of bishop f5. And finally, black managed to control the breakthrough d4, which used to be one of the main purpose of black in the Carlsbad structure, which control d4. So finally, he managed to make that. Here, I really like the move played by Sargissian. At the first glance, the machine doesn't like this move, but after he starts to think and after you play the move, the machine really like the move. Bishop f5 here and king d3. Okay, white is still having a small advantage, but what's better just keep bishop over the board to still put in pressure. I really like the move bishop e2. You are putting pressure, so you want more pieces over the board. a5. Okay, finally black made the move a5, taking space. Now b3, a4, b4, b5 will move rook c1, coming back, and rook g1. Finally, white comes to the g5 to put pressure. Rook a2, very good move, two double rooks on the g5, and rook d2. Black, I really like the white plan, attacking d2. And now, black should play g6. So now white have made his purpose of force black to play g6, but this structure is not used to be so good. Yeah, you should play or h6 or f6, but both moves included used to be bad to have this pawn extractor. For example, f6 with the pawn on h7 was fine, but this pawn extractor is not good. But now I have the e6 square for the knight one day. The g6 square was free. So for that reason, the rooks on the g5 had made his purpose. So he returned to the c5 now to attack the c pawn again. And finally, black plays knight c4, and now will move bishop c4, and now comes the decisive mistake of, well, one of the two decisive mistake of black, but this is one of the third decisive mistake, which b takes c4. It's not clear why this move is bad. I cannot explain you why this is a bad move, because it looks completely natural, but the machine prefer to take with the d pawn. It's not completely clear why. Because now like now white is coming with e4, and this look more natural for black to play this b takes c4, because b takes c4 have no so much sense. But it's okay, the machines prefer that. But is so difficult to understand why, really. I cannot explain you. I saw the position with the machine, but I cannot. I was thinking of that, but I cannot explain why the machine take with the d pawn. So b takes c4 was the logical move played by his opponent, and now and okay, the next like Uh, yes, the next 20 moves are Gabriel Sargissian just go around with the pieces and just try to make something, but he doesn't make nothing. He just go around with his pieces to one side or to another. So, but okay, he can make that because he have a great position and Black have no active plans. So he can make whatever he wants. So because Black have zero active plans because White have all his pawn in black squares, Black have all his pawn in light squares and light square bishop. So Black have no active plan. So for that reason, Gabriel start to go to one side to another with the pieces trying something. Okay, he plays the king on c3. Now the machine like better rook e1 for by rook e3, but okay, the next like 20 moves doesn't matter so much. This plan of play the knight on c3, the machine doesn't like. Machine likes the knight on c4 on f4, but okay. Gabriel just goes around with the pieces, still maintaining his advantage, but without great nothing. And finally, after made like 100 moves, no, not 100, but like 20 moves without making nothing. Now, white could be threatening e4. Looks like white is coming with e4 in. Yes, that's the white next move. For that reason, his opponent get scared more or less, and he play bishop d3, which is the decisive mistake. Why? Because rook d3. Great move by Sargisian. Rook sacrifice and exchange sacrifice, and you're going to learn. That's why he sacrificed the rook. Because the black rooks have no open files after he takes. Let's see these fucking rooks. They have no open files where they can be placed. If the a5 is closed, it's closed. Now this pawn close the b5. The b5 is closed because I have the b4 pawn defended by my pawn, so the b5 is completely closed. The c5 is closed by his pawn, and he can never break because I can take it. The d5 is closed. The e5 is closed. The f5 is closed. The g5 is closed, and the h5 is closed. So the position is winning for white. And let's see how many squares have the knight. And the knight have the g6 square, the c5 square, this pawn is weak, e6 square, this pawn is weak. Okay, this pawn of course is going to fall, this pawn is weak. So mm, just white is going to take all the pawns with the knight and black cannot defend because these rooks are just completely stupid. But okay, but his opponent here, he blundered, but because defend for many times is so difficult. That's the reason of why Sargisian made like 20 moves. Who looks like he's not making nothing, but he's tiring his opponent. Now his opponent have now the same energies at the start of this position that 20 moves later because and he have less time in the clock and less energies because he is still defending by 20 moves. So that's one of the technique who the masters employ so much, just tire his opponent. Okay, I'm going to, let's analyze how went the game, but now the rest is more or less easy for white. He just should take all his pawn and black cannot make nothing. Rook b8, that we're going to see that the only thing that black made was just move the rook into the b5 because he cannot make nothing. So here, king takes rook b5. Black have no moves. Rook g1, f4, improving a little bit. Now the knight goes back. He sends his square. Now very good f5. Now we have an extra very good square on e6. Now of course, but he cannot go. He doesn't go to e6 so fast. He doesn't need. He improved the rook. He improved the pawn structure. Repeat a little bit, still tiring his opponent, taking time in the clock, and he finally break on e4 at the moment where the rook was bad placed on b6. For example, if with the rook was on b7 or on b8, here maybe it's not maybe powerful. Well, of course he's completely winning, but the rook at least here can be active a little bit, but he breaks in the moment that the black rook is in a passive position before breaking, and finally the knight landed on e6, where he's sure that the rook sacrifice is not going to work. Now rook c5, now the rook will be coming here to take the pawn, for example, the king is advancing, and let's see how strong is the white pawn structure. Rook c4, king c4, sorry, and finally white takes another pawn. And finally, whites trade the rook because, okay, let's see, the rook is completely passive. This pawn is going to run, these pawns are so much advanced, this king is so active. C5, trying to activate the rook. Good idea, sacrifice a pawn to activate the rook, but the position is just completely lost. 96, king d5, 6, and okay, that's a self-analysis. Here, his opponent just resigned. So very good game of Sargissian. I never saw a game with this idea of g takes f3 in the cards, but I not used to play d4, so and with black I not used to play Carlsbad destructors. But this I really like this idea of take with the e pawn to take control of the e4 square and to open the g file to attack with the rook. So I hope that you learn with this game, and if you play some Carlsbads in this, yes, in your following games, I know saying that always g takes f3 is the best move, but it's a move to have in your mind, and sometimes you can, it could be the best option. So let's see in the following videos. Bye bye, motherfuckers.